Hello everyone, greetings from Japan. Hello to all my flat earthers, friends, brothers and sisters in Christ, and my globe friends too. We are going to be talking about over 25 circumnavigations that took place, and we will be showing here that they could only have been taken place around a flat earth, because there are no circumnavigations over the poles. There are no circumnavigations north and south. And since I made a video about Greater Sapien, I had many, like over 10,000 views, and many of his supporters wrote me specifically when I talked about Flight 50 Pan Am, which supposedly flew around the poles, and I showed on a flat Earth map that flight could easily have taken place on a flat Earth. Okay, and many of his supporters wrote me showing, no, it's been done before by boat or by plane. So I took a close look in all those circumnavigations, and I'm going to show you guys here that they all took place on a flat Earth. None of them has ever flown over the South Pole, and there is no South Pole. There is only the center pole, the Arctic, and the Antarctic is an Antarctic ring. It's a wall of ice around the flat Earth. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the claims and talking about them. Let's start with this guy called Bill Harrison. He supposedly flew around the South Pole from Argentina to New Zealand. But once we look, we will see that it never happened. It never happened like they tell you. So let's first watch this video of the supposed flight around the Earth, north and south.
A Virginia pilot has taken the drive for adventure to a whole new level. Bill Harrelson just returned last week from a world record flight around the world in a single-engine Lancer 4. AOPA editor-at-large Dave Hirschman tells the story in this exclusive chat with Bill.
Bill Harrelson's record-setting journey over the North and South Poles took 24 days. His airplane, a highly customized Lancer 4 that he and his wife Sue built for extreme long-distance flights.
Okay guys, this image shown on the program on the show tells us everything that we need to know about this flight. He never really flew over the South Pole. He left Virginia in the US, he landed in North Brazil, then he flew all the way down to Patagonia. From there he flew to the pole, to the Antarctica, probably a few miles, and then he flew back to South America, to Patagonia, and then from there he flew over to New Zealand. You can see the path of his flight. We cannot make these things up. How could he have flown over the South Pole and come back to the same point where he was in Argentina? Now let's look at another picture here. He went to, like South America. He went over to Antarctica, and then he came right back to South America, and then from there he went to New Zealand. From New Zealand he went back to North America. So how could this possibly have been done over the South Pole, as it is being publicized? Everywhere they say, oh, he flew over the South Pole. But you can see here the red line is what he did, and the white line is where he was supposed to have flown. He left North America down to North Brazil, then down to São Paulo, Brazil, then to Patagonia. From there, he went to the Antarctica, and then back to South America. You see there, he came back to South America, and then from there he flew to New Zealand. From there, he flew back to North America. Okay, so this is not an over the South Pole flight. He just went there to Antarctica, flew a few miles over the Antarctic ring, and came right back to Argentina, and from there to New Zealand, from New Zealand to North America. He went over the North Pole or the Center Pole, and then back to the east coast of the United States. This flight was never ever over the South Pole, because no flights can fly over the South Pole. Just a scam flight 2018 that never happened and can never happen. And the same thing with flight 50 at Pan Am. It could never have flown over the South Pole. Okay guys, all these flights over the South Pole, people, I get messages, especially after I made the video about the Greater Sapien. Guys have been sending me links or pictures of flights over the South Pole. It's always like this, like, I know somebody who knows somebody who was in that flight, or I know somebody who heard from somebody who was. Just looks a lot like that SpongeBob cartoon.
Why, once I met this guy who knew 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 this guy's cousin. You're right!
Okay guys, we have here Bill Harrison, 2015 flights, pole to pole, and we will see here that he didn't fly over the pole. He left the US, and then he went to the north of Brazil. From there he went straight to the tip of South America. Now this is where it gets tricky, because he flies over probably a couple miles over Antarctica, goes right back to South America, and from there he went to New Zealand. So if he went this way, like if he was really on the South Pole, why didn't he just continue from there to New Zealand? Why did he have to go back and then from there? Because it's impossible. Okay, this flight is impossible. No flight can fly over the South Pole, because there is no South Pole. This is the South Pole right here, the Antarctica ring. That's why they call the Antarctica ring, okay, because it's a ring. As you can see here in this picture, on the right side, this picture, as you can see here, they really show you nothing. That's when you go by boat, you pay those $10,000, $20,000 tours to go to Antarctica. You actually just go there and look at some penguins and come back. And what the Bill Harrison did, he flew from that tip of South America. He just flew a few miles over the Antarctic ring right there on the, maybe 1 or 2 miles inland, came right back, and from there he went on to New Zealand. So let's look at the next one now, the famous circumnavigation by a solar-powered airplane. This solar-powered plane flew over, they say flew around the Earth. It actually did, but on a flat Earth. Okay, it departed Abu Dhabi over to India and China, then across the vast Pacific onto the United States, and it went over from Hawaii to North America, and then it crossed the Atlantic back to Abu Dhabi. Let's listen to this news report.
Historic moment today in aviation. For the first time, a solar-powered plane has crossed the Atlantic Ocean without using fossil fuel. The Solar Impulse 2 landed in Spain today, 3 days after taking off from New York. As Eric Sorensen explains, what was once thought to be impossible is now a reality.
What it is an airplane that shows what future air travel may look like. Yes, it's almost as wide as a football field is long with just one seat. But just as the Wright brothers couldn't carry passengers, Solar Impulse represents the first steps in solar-powered flight. And to prove its potential, they began flying it around the world, from Abu Dhabi last year, with stops in India and China, then across the vast Pacific. Remember, it has no fuel. It then was on to the United States, hopscotched across America, powered only by the sun. And now it has crossed its last ocean, the Atlantic. Not much further to go.
Okay, as we see here on this map, this airplane left Abu Dhabi onto India and then, you know, parts of China. It made a stop here in Japan. Okay, it didn't say anything on the news, but it stopped here in Nagoya, actually, where I live. And then over to Hawaii, then to San Francisco, it crossed the United States, Phoenix, Tulsa, and Dayton, to New York, and then back to Abu Dhabi. And here's the same map overimposed on the Gleason's map. You can see, you know, it's basically what they did. They flew over the Tropic of Cancer. And this is how they say they circumnavigate around the Earth, or actually around the world. But it's easily explained on the flat Earth map. No secrets here. They can't fly over the poles. Okay, there's no circumnavigation north and south. Next one, we will look at this Lucky Lady flight. It's a United States Air Force Boeing B-50 Superfortress that became the first airplane to circle the world non-stop in 1949. Okay, assisted by in-flight refueling, lasted 94 hours and 1 minute. So this airplane flew around the world. First circumnavigation of the world, 1949. That's what it says in Wikipedia. And this is a map showing it's pretty much, well, here they left the United States to Azores in Portugal. Then Saudi Arabia, somewhere there, to the Philippines, and then back to the United States. Here's the same map, superimposed on the Gleason's map. They basically flew around the Tropic of Cancer, and this is how they claim to circumnavigate the Earth. Another flight, Pan Am 50, on its 50th anniversary back in 1977. Funny thing about this flight, look at the price for the first class flight, $3,333, $33.33. So I mean, it's up to you. I'm just throwing the numbers. Then the 33 number is very suspicious. That was the price they were selling. I do not believe that these specific flights flew over the pole, as I'm going to explain next. It's the same video I show on the Greater Sapien video. I stick to that. I don't believe it flew over the South Pole because there is no circumnavigation north and south. There is no way any airplane can circumnavigate north and south. So let's take a look at this.
The jet age. The world shrinks dramatically. In May 1976, a new Pan Am 747 SP, the Clipper Liberty Bell, with 98 passengers aboard, shatters all previous records by flying around the world in just 46 hours. The Liberty Bell flight, like almost all those that preceded it, followed a route that roughly paralleled the equator. Only a very few planes had ever tried to go around the other way, following a north-south route over the poles. And never had a plane carrying passengers attempted it. Until the weekend of October 28, 1977. Pan Am decides to celebrate its 50th anniversary by taking 172 passengers on a spectacular one-time-only flight from San Francisco over the North Pole to London.
Here's Pan Am Flight 50, supposed to have happened in 1977. The first leg, San Francisco to London, represented by the pink line.
From there to Cape Town, South Africa.
Second stop, from London to South Africa. I wrote down Johannesburg here, went straight to South Africa, represented with this blue line.
Then over the South Pole to Auckland, New Zealand.
South Africa to Auckland, New Zealand, represented by this green line right here.
And on back to San Francisco.
From Auckland, New Zealand, back to San Francisco, represented with this orange line right here. Okay, so they don't need to fly over the poles for this flight. Just look at the Gleason's map. This is how they did it.
Around the world over both the poles. all between Friday afternoon and Sunday evening. This will be a weekend to remember.
Now let's move to the circumnavigations claimed to have been done by boat over the sea. Of course, you can't circumnavigate north and south over the sea because there's no way, there's no oceans there, and the Antarctic ring would prevent anybody from doing so on the so-called South Pole. Again, as you see in this image here, they just touch base there in Antarctica, cross from Patagonia over, and then they claim they have been to Antarctica or have visited. They just go to the, a false South Pole, take some pictures there, look at some penguins, and claim to have visited or to have circumnavigated over the South Pole. So let's look at this. The following videos, the following people, they all claim to have circumnavigated by boat, which is possible. And you will see, we will be talking about in each video that, it's going to be shown now. So let's move on. The first supposed circumnavigation via both the geographical poles was achieved by Sir Ranulph Fiennes and Charles Burton, both for UK, and it was the expedition Transglobe. But the thing is, he was supposed to be an actor, this guy. He was supposed to be in one of the James Bond's movies. So it was more like an action movie than actually a circumnavigation of the poles. The scenes were, precisely made just like it was made by the movie. Each person who was filming, he was positioned at the right place at the right time, and you can clearly see that some of the scenes was like made by a movie, not really showing any circumnavigation. And this is supposed to have been the first circumnavigation of the South Pole, and in 1982. Alright guys, we're going to be looking here at some circumnavigations around the Earth. It can easily be done from east to west and from west to east. Never can be done over the poles, especially over the South Pole, because the South Pole does not exist. As you see here, compare side by side the flat Earth and the globe model. You can easily circumnavigate from east to west or from west to east, but never ever over the poles. It has never been done. It claimed to have been done. Circumnavigation is easily proven to have been done on a flat Earth. Let's look at over 20 claims here, starting with the first one. It's Ellen MacArthur in 2001. She finished second on a yacht race, and as you can see here on the map, it can easily be done on the flat Earth map, either from east to west or from west to east. Right? Not ever over the poles. Okay. The next one that we are going to be looking at is Mike Golding. Mike Golding is a Englishman. He's from England, and he same thing as Ellen MacArthur, same route around the flat Earth. You can see how easily it can be explained with the flat Earth map. The next one, Tony Gooch from 2002-2003. He circumnavigated from Victoria, Canada to Victoria, Canada. Okay, easily explained on the flat Earth map, as you can see on the screen. Next one that we're going to be looking at is the first deaf person to circumnavigate solo in 2004. He went through the Panama Canal, not even around South America, but it can easily be explained on the flat Earth map, as you see here on the screen. The next one, Bruno Peyron. I believe he's French. He's a French yachtsman, and he's circumnavigated just like Ellen MacArthur and the other guy in the beginning. Easily explained on the flat Earth map. Easily, you can see there the easy map. That's how he did it. All right, let's look at the next one. Denise de Cafari. Okay, in 2006, first woman to sail single-handedly and non-stop around the flat Earth the wrong way. I believe she started from west to east, but same way that the other people did. Okay, nothing new there. The next one, we'll look at the Queen Mary 2. It's a cruiser, a boat, okay, a ship. It's circumnavigated around the flat Earth. You can see on the map exactly the route. Never over the poles, of course, because it cannot be done either by sea or by flying or, walking. There's no way. Nobody can circumnavigate the South Pole, over the South Pole. And the next one is the Earth race. It's now known as the Mai Adigil. That was in 2008. You can see there they circumnavigated through the Panama Canal and the Canal of Suez in Egypt. So they didn't even go around South America or Africa or Australia. Right? So that's not even a circumnavigation, consider that. Well, it is, but not over the poles. The next one, Francis Joyon. Where is he from? French. Okay, he's from France. And sailboat racer and yachtsman. 2008, he circumnavigated around the flat Earth, just like most of them do, around South America, Africa, and Australia, but never over the poles, of course. There's no way to circumnavigate over the South Pole. Michael Perham, another one, through the Panama Canal and around Africa and Australia, New Zealand, but, that's how they circumnavigate over the flat Earth. The Earth being flat, no way to circumnavigate all the way, either by plane or boat or any other way. Now this guy, he circumnavigated around the Earth. He did more stops than the others. Let's look at Dilip Dondo. This guy, I don't know where he's from, but he is a commander to, his country. I don't know. Jessica Watson, she is from Australia. In 2010, pretty much like the others too, the way she did around the flat Earth. Next one, William Bride Stowe, an American artist and mariner. He circumnavigated pretty much like the others as well. Let's look at this girl. She's the youngest, 15 years old in 2012, Laura Decker. She's from New Zealand. And you can easily see how she's circumnavigated through the Panama Canal, not around South America. Planet Solar, I think this is the largest solar-powered boat in the world. Again, through Panama Canal, Canal de Suez, and in the north of Australia. Let's look at Maria Victor. I couldn't find anything about this lady. She is supposed to circumnavigate in 2013. I couldn't find any info about her. The next one, Gian Socrates. She completed her in September 2013? First female. She holds the records, oldest female to have circumnavigated. Next one, Abhilash Tomi from India. Okay, second Asian and 79 person to complete its solo circumnavigation. Gary Hughes is the first deaf man to solo circumnavigate the world, okay, in 2013. These are the people who have circumnavigated the world. And as you see here on the map, all they do, actually, they go to the tip of South America and they cross over to Australia, to Antarctica. They go a few miles inland, come right back, and they claim they circumnavigated over the pole, South Pole, but it's impossible because the Earth is flat. There's no way anybody can circumnavigate the South Pole. Guys, I'm gonna close this video now. I wish you all the best. This is a very good representation of the plane that we live. It's not the perfect map, but it's one of the best that we have. This is it. Okay, we live on a flat Earth. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Take care.